Welcome to Reverb Roundtable, a weekly show that brings the brightest creative minds and digital producers in sports, entertainment, politics, news, and more to share their stories and strategies that will help you become a better leader and creator. This podcast is hosted by Clark Campbell, the founder and CEO of Reverb Agency, an event media production company where the goal is always to make great events look great online. On this episode, we are talking all about leadership with the one and only Trey McKnight from BigStuf Camps and Orange Leaders. Trey is a leader that we greatly admire for his mission to inspire people towards positive life change. Today, we dive into what it takes to lead a healthy team and what it looks like to continuously show up and inspire people towards growth. Now, on to this week's episode. Here's your host, Clark Campbell.
Tessa, you always have the best intros. We are here with the one and only, someone that William and I admire beyond words. Like, there's actually not words. Thank you. There are not words to describe how much we admire this human being and look up to him, not only for looks. We look up to him for looks, but we also look up to him. Mostly looks. Look up to him as a leader, as a creator, as an athlete, as a dad.
I look up to him for his morning Instagram stories.
His morning
that's
5
the thing that always
a.m.
connects to me the most.
Okay, wait. So we got to talk about that though.
This is Trey McKnight, everyone. This is Trey McKnight.
Let's go.
Oh my goodness, you guys are too kind.
Hold on. Before you go in, if you are listening to this podcast, you have an assignment from the beginning. Go home and open this up on YouTube so that you can see the man, the myth,
the legend,
the looking legend,
Trey
legend.
McKnight.
Go. You were going to say something.
I was just going to say you guys are too kind.
No,
you're going
to honest.
Make a black man blush over here.
Bro, I don't remember the first time we met you, but you have been a source. When life is hard and you're stressed and you're busy and you're overwhelmed.
Oh, I know.
I actually do remember the very first time I walked into your office. Getting coffee. Your office. And I remember meeting you and you made room for us. You brought us into your office and sat us down. And I could tell you were extraordinarily busy, made my life look really, really simple. And you made room for us. We sat down in your office and you listened and you were interested. That's what I remember about the first time I met you.
And then I didn't have the budget to hire you guys. And I felt so bad about it.
Oh, man.
But I will say,
I don't know if you remember that name.
I 100%. Duran brought you guys in.
Duran did. That's right.
Yeah, and we had been trying to meet up for a little while. And we were just in the height of our season. And so I felt bad for pushing it off a couple times. And then when
my thought was inspiring. Don't feel bad.
When it finally did happen, though, I was so glad that it did. Because even though we never got to, at least during that season, work together, can I call you guys friends? I
think so.
If you don't, I'm going to be real hurt.
The friendship that developed here, I think, was way more valuable than
100%. I was talking with Trey before we started about how 3-4 years ago when we met Trey, it was just Trey, but now it's Trey McKnight, the celebrity. So I think we are friends. I think we got in early because I think it's kind of like investment when you get in early and then you see returns. We got in early on the friendship, and now we're seeing the returns because now he's a big deal now.
Trey, this whole podcast is just me and Will to learn all your secrets.
100%.
We are only here.
I don't have any secrets.
So all the people that are listening, just know that we are asking leading questions that just open the door for us to be better leaders, to be healthier, all the things.
And most importantly, to find out how he gets the contracts he gets with the big organizations that just pamper him up, bring him out. He talks
peanut
in front
M&Ms
of the camera.
Only? Blue peanut M&Ms?
Blue peanut M&Ms.
Blue peanut.
Or is it green?
No, blue.
Blue, okay.
Blue only.
Blue peanut M&Ms.
Flies on all the private jets. The whole nine experience.
Okay, all right. See, people are going to think this is really how I am. I'm not. This is not.
The best part.
15%.
The best part. All the things that we just said are true, but he's real humble about it.
Minus the blue peanut M&Ms.
Minus the blue peanut M&Ms. So, okay, let's get to valuable content. Trey, truly, so you're a creator, you're a COO, you lead these big events, you MC events. You're a fitness expert. You run a family or help co-lead a family.
My wife runs the family.
Your wife runs the family.
Yeah.
I totally resonate with that. I get that. My first question to you is, how do your energy is so above par. How do you, with all that you carry, tell us how you stay above par? Or maybe in golf, it would be below par because below par is better.
Below par, right.
How do you stay so sharp? When it comes to an energy perspective and charisma.
Gosh, thank you for saying that. I don't know. That's always been a kind of a natural part of me, I think. For whatever reason, God has just given me this like insatiable need for things that energize me.
Yeah.
You know, when I think of the things that do energize me, honestly, it's just people. I mean, you say when we first met, you know, you guys came in and I made time for you. Like for me, honestly, that was probably selfishly a departure from all of the stress that was happening at that time.
Yeah.
And so I welcome the opportunity to be around great people like yourselves, to learn from people like yourselves. And I think that's a big part of it. I think for me is just to surround myself with people who are intelligent thinkers, people who are a good hang, people who just like, you know, like,
I'm gonna use that.
I mean, seriously, you know, just, I want to be surrounded with people who give energy and who don't suck the life out of, out of what's happening in the moment, in any given moment. Whether it's, you know, moving toward a common goal or if it's just to be in the presence of other people. Like, don't suck the energy out of that, you know?
Gosh. We have enough of
that
those
annoys
people.
the fool out of me when people do that.
What did you study in school and what's your Enneagram?
So I studied journalism in school. I was telecommunications.
Why did I like you?
Journalism.
That's it. It always comes back to that.
It always comes back to journalism.
University of Georgia, go Dogs. I graduated in 2002 telecommunication arts degree. And so most of what I did was, you know, I look at this room now and we're 20 years almost past that now.
Baby.
But I did production. It was all production.
Yep.
You know, I had one class where our professor told us, "Hey, we're not going to be in class a lot." He's this old guy from New York. He's go make movies, you know. And we're like, "All right, cool, we'll do that." So, so I love this world, you know. But yeah, telecommunication arts, and I'm an Enneagram 3.
Enneagram 3, the achiever.
Yeah.
What does the achiever do now? So Tessa, when she introed this podcast, she kind of, you know, she hits your main areas of work.
We try to anyway.
Yep. Clark kind of talked about the main areas, but you kind of tell us what are the main areas of focus in your life right now, because you're doing a bunch of things. And I would say like you're doing like 3 big things professionally right now. But like lay us out from your perspective. What are you doing right now? What's your main areas?
Where are you winning?
Or losing? I want to hear both.
I don't know if thank God the game's not over, because
right.
It's an infinite game.
It's an infinite game.
Right. Yeah. Gosh. I don't know, honestly, if I can just be a little vulnerable for a second. Please. I don't know that I'm winning anything right now.
Is anyone?
But right. But I don't think that I would say that I'm losing anywhere.
Yeah.
I think that you know, so to your point, to your question, I serve as the Chief of Operations and Camp Director at BigStuf Ministries.
Which is thousands of students, right?
Thousands of students in
a normal
30,
year,
31 years?
30. So this will be our 33rd summer.
33 years at this organization.
At the beach, Panama City Beach. We do
8 weeks. How many?
5-day camps down in Panama City Beach. Normally in a normal year. So 2019 was the last year we had a normal year.
Yeah,
we did 9 camps.
9
so
weeks
we saw
of camps.
More than 13,000 students that summer.
Jeez.
And you were the COO of that operation.
Right. This past year, you know, COVID, we didn't do any camps.
Yeah.
And then this coming year, we've got 2 camps scheduled right now. Registration is obviously and understandably low.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we're just trying to survive right now.
Sure.
So that's one bucket.
Yep, one bucket.
Bucket number 2, I'm just stepping into a new role. So an organization that we at BigStuf have worked with for a long time is called Orange.
We know
you guys
them
have worked with Orange a lot. So it's an organization I've contracted with for about a decade now.
Yeah.
And I'm stepping into a full-time role with them in kind of a marketing stance and ... a lot of other things.
Isn't that what we all are?
Yeah, there's a lot of...
Our email signature is now, that's what it should be.
Is the ...
Is video ... Leader ...
everything else.
I like that.
Marketing ...
That happened today.
That's happening. Literally.
And what Trey didn't even talk about is the fact that he's basically become a personality now. And
He
so
is
he
a
also works
personality.
with brands to basically guide people through their experiences at events, online, virtual events.
It's been really cool to get to be a part of that. And a lot of that too, I think, kind of happened... You know, we look back, and I don't know how you know, spiritual you guys get on the show, but you know, for me,
it's an open door, man. It's an open door.
You know, I look at the last year, and there were just a lot of ways that I feel like God stepped in and filled the gaps where we lost opportunities.
Yeah.
And, you know, thankfully, you know, you look back on your life and you think, man, there's things that I've done and things that I've been a part of. You know, I've been doing live online broadcasts for a decade now, going back to 2010, 2011,
Wow.
you know? So, you know,
Like hosting?
Yeah, hosting. So like online church, you know, all those things.
What was your first hosting experience?
So my first live online was with North Point Online.
There you go.
North Point Community Church down in Atlanta.
And Emma at Pulse Park invited you to do
Emma
that.
at Pulse Park. Yeah, so you guys know Emma.
Plug for
Right,
Emma.
Totally,
at
Emma.
Pulse
Yes,
Park.
Emma. So Emma Pitts.
Pulse Park just pulled off a wildly awesome
With
event.
They did.
McConaughey. It was like a green light.
All right.
Yeah.
It was a green light.
All right.
I see
We're
what you did
Texas.
there.
I think they pulled it off in like, what was it, 2.5 weeks, 3
It was
weeks that they
insane.
brought it all together?
Yeah, following all the freeze in
was
Texas,
wild.
and he said, "I want to do an event," and they got the contract.
So
and
before
did the whole
Matthew,
deal.
she found you.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
Whoa.
right.
So really-
you're
That's right. I
You're-
paved the way for
you
McConaughey.
paved the way for McConaughey.
paved the way for McConaughey.
Which then paved the way for Post Malone to do country music on the set. So really,
Which is
you're fencing a lot, Trey.
a whole other conversation that we don't have to get into.
This is fascinating. Fascinating content.
But yeah, I started out just doing an online broadcast that Emma pulled me into. She first time
10
she
years
met
ago.
me, she said, "You should do an online broadcast with me," and I said, "All right, cool." So I did that, and that was kind of where that lived. You know, it's kind of
Yeah.
the church world where you saw most of that.
Yep.
And then, as we've all seen over the last year,
Virtual events.
every in-person event went online, and so there was this elevated need
Yep.
for someone who could kind of pull the different elements together.
A guide.
And a guide, and ding, ding, ding. Turns out I've been doing it for a while. So
Was Global Leadership Summit, was that one of the largest events you've done?
that is the largest event I've done today.
Yeah.
It's like 600,000 across the
It's
world.
once,
or something?
once it is distributed. So the initial event, which is held in August, they have some other mini events that we do, but the main event in August, the summit, is which you guys were there.
Yeah,
as well.
we were there.
I think I think we have like 70 to 100,000 something people who log in during the event,
Yep.
and then
And
they
then
translate it into like 130 different
languages.
languages, and it goes across the world like 400,000 or 500,000 people,
It's insane.
which is really cool. Yeah.
And you co-hosted it with Paula Ferris. No
Paula
big
Ferris,
deal.
who, has
The View.
yeah, right?
Good Morning America.
She's got a book out.
She's got a
called
new
out.
book out.
She's got a podcast out now.
She does.
Yeah. So yeah, she's incredible. The whole team there is really great.
So what do you love doing the most out of all of those things? Put you on the spot. Do you like leading people? Do you like getting in front of people and speaking? Or do you like, what was the other thing?
Dude, he just leads
Marketing.
people. Marketing?
I mean, what do you-
he's doing marketing.
What do you like doing? And I'm going to ask another question after that. What fills you the most?
Anything. So this always goes back to me for, I was fortunate years ago to have somebody in my life who said, you need to come up with a life mission statement.
Yep.
And for me, that over months of kind of introspection and self-awareness and asking people, lots of conversations and, prayer and all that, I landed on, I feel it's very simple, but it's inspire people to move toward positive life change.
Inspire people to move towards positive life change.
Yeah.
Was that it?
Yeah, that's it. And so for me, everything that I look at is through that lens. And if I'm going to do something that is involved with Orange, if I'm going to do something involved with BigStuf, if I'm going to do something where I'm training somebody or coaching somebody or standing on a stage and welcoming people and tying together all the different pieces of an event that's online or in person, if I can do or say something or be a part of something that is inspiring others to actually move, because I think that's the part we miss a lot of the time. A lot of times we miss the move part. We're inspired.
Just inspired, right?
Yeah, we're inspired. Oh, I want to do great things. But it's like, okay, but at some point you actually have to step up and you have to move
Action
in a direction.
steps.
Yeah.
Will, as he's saying these words, I'm realizing he's lived out his brand.
He has.
Promise.
100%.
Like, you're one of the biggest encouragers to us.
Wow.
Literally if you go look at our Instagram DMs with his name, you'd probably see like 15 encouraging messages like, you guys inspire me. You guys are amazing. Keep going. Keep going. You literally live it out. And I didn't even know that was your mission.
Yeah.
to
That's
the point
incredible.
to where he inspires people to go on 5 a.m. runs through his Instagram, which is
I
the
want-
main
how-
focal point of
5:30.
excuse me, which is the
5
main
a.m. 's too
focal
early.
point of his brand, actually.
That's such a good point. Yeah. So let's tie it to health, personal health.
Okay.
Let's go a little bit deeper into you've talked, you do a lot and you act a lot, not act a lot. You communicate a lot about health.
Yeah.
And teams, it starts with the leader, doesn't it?
100%.
Why do you create content around personal health? And how does that spill out into your own teams like ours? Like, why are you doing so much about health?
Yeah. I could give you the really long version.
Sure.
I think the short version, and this is nothing new. I mean, this is what I think I've come to learn myself through my own successes and failures, really, more so my failures.
Sure.
I cannot lead a team well if I'm not prioritizing my own health.
Yeah.
And again, that's not new, but it's, I think that we each have to figure out individually what that means for us.
Sure.
And I think I've just discovered for me, kind of Charles Duhigg talks about these Keystone Habits. It's like the things that are in your life that will help spur other habits,
Yeah.
In the right direction.
Totally.
For me, that is, obviously my spiritual health, but I think probably for me even more so because it feeds into my spiritual health is my physical health.
Yeah.
And there have been times when, I remember before my first son was born 8-9 years ago, I was in great shape. And everybody says, oh, you're going to get that baby 10 or 15. Well, I was like, no, not me. I'm like,
You've seen him?
I don't fit into that, And sure enough, not only did I gain, I think, I'll just put it all out there. I think I was about 190 when my oldest son was born. Within a year after he was born, I was at about 217.
Come on.
And
you put
most
on the
people
20.
would look at me. I think I wore it kind of well, but I saw myself on stage, a video of myself, and I said, that has to change.
Yeah.
Because not only for me did I not feel my best, not only did I not, I didn't feel like I was able to, just the confidence to walk into a room and say, hey, I want to help somebody else, with whatever they're walking through. I saw myself on stage and I thought, how can anybody take me seriously?
Sure.
If I'm preaching health and I'm trying to encourage and inspire people to move toward better, but I'm not doing it myself. So I think I discovered that for me, that has to be something that is a high priority.
And you're creating this content, like you're trying to also help the Clarks and the Wills of the world be inspired to take action on those things too, right?
Yeah.
You're not just doing it because you want to see yourself on Instagram.
No. I think that, because half the time I hate seeing myself on Instagram. It's like, you're your own worst critic.
I know the feeling.
But I think too, there's a piece of me, and I don't know that everybody feels this way. But I think that I've been given something that comes maybe naturally, or an understanding of it that comes naturally to me. That if I hold that just for myself, am I really serving the people around me as best I can? And I don't mean that to shame anybody who would say, well, this is just for me. And this is just, because there are people that would look at, I'm sure there are people that get annoyed with, me posting that Treys out there running again. And here he is again. Look at this, like
holding the camera up while he's running at 5 a.m., 5:30 in the morning.
But for each one of those people who may or may not say something to me, there's that one person that over the course of, since I started doing this more consistently over the last 8 months, I'll have a random person who I had no idea was paying attention.
Yeah, right.
And I see them in person, and they come to me and they say, yo,
feeling.
I love what you're putting out there.
And you're like, what? You're watching?
People send me a DM, and they're just like, it's a picture. It's like they wouldn't share it publicly, but they're sharing a picture of like, hey, I woke up this morning, I wasn't going to do anything, but I saw your video, and it got me out here. Like that to me, I'm like, that's a win.
Yeah.
I don't care about how many followers I get, Like, I want to grow my influence, sure.
Yeah.
But if I'm having some kind of impact on another person in a positive way, it was a win for me to do that for everybody else that would say I'm annoyed by this.
That's awesome.
Totally agree with that.
Trey, you talked a lot about, or you talked for a second about Keystone Habits, which what's the book that came from? Because I haven't read it yet, but I've heard it.
Yeah, The Power of Habit.
The Power of Habit.
Duhigg, yeah.
And the principle there is, instead of trying to say, I think this is the principle, help me here. Yeah. Instead of trying to say, like, I want to completely change all of my health, therefore I'm going to start meal prepping, I'm going to start working out in the morning and in the evening, I'm going to change XYZ habit. You say, okay, what's the first thing I need to do that's going to help the domino effect to make everything else easier, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's, okay. So with that.
And I will say, before your question too, and something that's enhanced that for me, and I know this was the hot button last year, but James Clear, I think, took it the next step and got into Atomic Habits with that. And so, that concept, 100%. It's the small things that lend you toward greater.
So with that, the keystone habit of personal health in your life that makes you a better person, better preps you to lead, what's the chain reaction? What's the dominoes falling as it interacts with your organizations that you play a large part of? So where does that transition from this over here with personal health is actually helping me so much over here inside of the organizational health to be a better leader, lead a better team?
Yeah. I mean, you could break this down a bunch of different ways. If I were to bring it into just a couple, I think first and foremost, it is as you guys were saying a second ago, I'm going to live what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So in order for me to feel confident myself, to be able to put any kind of message out there to anyone else, to lead a team, to stand in front of a group of people, whether it's one-on-one with somebody that I was looking at, if I'm looking at my son even, you know, and I'm telling him, Mason, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do that. Or if I'm standing in front of a group of people that I'm leading, a group of contractors or volunteers or whoever that, you know, if I'm going to do that, I better be living it myself, right? Which then gives me the confidence to be able to say the things that I want to say, to be able to encourage people the way that I want to encourage people.
Yeah.
So I think
otherwise you'd feel like a fraud.
Totally. Which as an Enneagram 3, we feel very often anyway.
Yeah.
You know, we constantly feel like, oh, we're going to be found out.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like, do people really believe anything I'm saying? You know?
Yeah.
So for me, that's one big thing that I think helps me better and more effectively lead teams. I think, secondly, there are a lot of parallels between what we do from a health standpoint that translate into what we have to walk through as a team trying to achieve something.
I'm glad you went there. I'm ready for us to go there. So keep going.
Yeah. So
what does that mean? What does that look like in day to day?
So for instance, if you're looking at, you know, if I'm talking about tossing weight around,
yep.
You know, I've got 135 pounds on a bar.
Sure.
You know, and I want to power clean it up or whatever. How, you know, whatever lift you want to do.
Yeah.
I do those a lot.
Sure. Right.
No, he does not. He did it once 4 years ago.
That is a weight that I have to move.
Yeah.
It's a weight that I'm at some point going to have to sit under. Right. I won't get stronger if I don't sit under the weight.
Yeah.
I can look at it all day long. I can talk about it all day long. Good. I can wish for it to move from one place to another place all day long.
Yeah.
Until I pick up the weight and sit under it for any period of time.
That's good.
Until I move the weight, nothing's going to happen. Right? But then what happens? You get under the weight. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yep.
It hurts sometimes.
Yeah.
It's challenging.
Yeah.
You sit under the weight of things as teams.
Yeah.
And there are things that are hard, that are uncomfortable, that are challenging, that make you like wonder why you got into it to begin with. Right?
Almost every day.
You're right. And then at some point you drop the weight and you might still be recovering. You might still be trying to figure it out, still trying to feel it out. You might have to lift it again, but you go through this process over and over and over. And before you know it, you've achieved something.
Yeah.
Before you know it, you're stronger because of it. Before you know it, now you can add more weight and you can handle more than you ever thought you ever would before you could, you know, do the initial weight that you started with. So that's a second one I think for me is, I think the parallels that happen and the challenges and the mental fortitude that's developed as a result of my physical pursuit.
The way most psychologists are saying it today is resilience.
Yeah. Resilience,
the grit
mindset,
and the resilience to push,
it's so important.
to know that you can get under that weight. And you can make it. Or at least you got somebody around you that's going to help you if you can't.
100%.
How does that translate to your, how do you make sure your team knows that that's the place in which you're leading from? If they're not watching, I know. I was gonna say, if they're not watching your Instagram,
that's a part of their onboarding process.
Right,
it's like fill out these tax forms, follow Trey on Instagram.
Yep, they watched. Yep, they watched.
He checks all the views. That's a part of the weekly review process. Hey man, I really noticed you're slacking on viewing my Instagram stories. You're down 2 views this week.
What if, right? I think
a 3. I don't know.
Honestly,
You might.
Honestly, I've been a part of organizations where that was kind of halfway happening with people that I reported to. It was weird.
I noticed I'm still on the pending on the Facebook friend request. What's the problem
with
here?
Me?
No, I'm just
oh, you're talking about, it was very similar to that. It was more of an unfollow that happened with someone on my team and my superior brought it to me.
Said, hey, the direct deposit goes right back up as soon as you start the follow again. But
the direct deposit. Speaking of deposits,
right
how do you deposit this energy into your team? Is it strategic in meetings? Do you have a book club on your team? Do you take them to leadership events? Like, how do you deposit all of these great attributes that you have as a leader into your team, not just social media, but what do you do? How do you build them?
I will say, I mean, just in case anybody on my team is listening, this has looked highly different in the last year.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of ways, we've just taken so many hits that a lot of it was just survival.
Yeah.
And I think that there were definitely seasons over the last year that I did not lead well.
Sure.
I felt like my pursuit of fitness, my pursuit of my own health was moving up. Like I think a lot of it was for a lot of us. But I think that we were constantly just on the back end of just trying to keep up with decisions that we needed to make and all that. So I will admittedly say that I haven't done a good job of this over the last year, but I think during ideal circumstances and during times when we've done this well, it has been, I think for me, just a passion to first and foremost connect with individuals. You can lead a team, but you're not just leading a team. You're leading a group of individuals.
Yeah.
And I think that if you have to keep that mindset, because if there's always a need, I've figured out, for the leader of any size group to always have their finger on the pulse of what's happening within the team.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you have to know every intricate detail of, how people are feeling about certain things and all that. But I think that you have to intentionally pursue that. And the only way to do that is to intentionally pursue individuals. When you're pursuing that individual, when they know that they matter to you in a way that is more than just the job that they do for and alongside you, you'd be surprised at how vulnerable they'll be with you once you earn that from them.
So what he's saying is now he's also a pastor.
Correct. Pastor Trey.
It's Pastor Trey, Bishop Trey.
Trey.
You're also like part of the formation of human beings in a way as a leader, right?
Sure.
That
seems weird.
It does seem weird
to say yes to. But if that's something I'm invited into, then 100%. I would say that I would accept the responsibility, and I think it's a high responsibility as a leader. Of helping develop and help form human beings.
Yeah, I know it sounds
into better people.
I realize it may not have been best choice of words, but at the end of the day, you're helping. If they've invited you into the conversation,
right.
You're helping.
You have to earn it. Yeah,
you have to earn it. You're helping mold someone into being a better leader, being a better director, manager, executor.
That's a mindset shift that's different from some people. Pastor Trey. I like one of the things that Clark's helped me walk through over the past 3 years is that so I'm an Enneagram 1, right? You're an Enneagram 3. I'm a 1. I'm an idealist.
2 in the middle over here.
And we got a 2.
1, 2, 3.
Who has wings heavy both ways.
Yeah.
And I think for a long time, like I do want to see things as like cogs, a mechanism inside of a greater machine. Right. And it sucks a lot of the human life out of it. Yeah. I'm even reading a book right now called the EMyth, and it's talking about technicians, managers, and entrepreneurs. And I was like debriefing with someone the other day, and I was like, in a perfect world, managers shouldn't have to exist.
That's how ones always start.
Right? In a perfect world, managers shouldn't have to exist, because it's like, you have the technicians who are doing your job and the leaders that are leading the organization. You shouldn't have to have anyone in the middle if everyone's doing their job.
Sure.
But oftentimes the manager, the leader, like they're having to play with the human element of it inside of an organization. It's not just cogs in a greater machine. You have to come to terms with the fact that it's people with individual skill sets, individual emotions that do play into an organization level. There is a lot of crossover there. You're leading people. You're not just fine-tuning mechanisms inside of a machine, even if that's like the goal of a lot of people, and that's how like a lot of leaders probably want it to be. I want to be able to sit back and just kind of fine-tune everything. Sure. That's not the realistic way it happens.
I say this a lot. It's just a phrase that I don't even remember where I got this. I didn't create it, but I say all the time, people are going to people.
Yeah. People are going to people.
People are going to people,
That's fun.
And I think what I'm saying in a short form that is the longer version of this is that we're all imperfect.
Yeah.
We all have desires. We all have needs. We all have things that drive us. And as the leader, if we're not constantly pursuing what that person is naturally going to do, which is essentially what's in this for me.
Yeah.
Right? Like people want to be a part of something bigger than themselves because they're going to receive some type of benefit from it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, whatever that looks like, how that's manifested is going to be different across the board.
Mm-hmm.
But people are going to say yes to something because there's a benefit to them.
To them. That's exactly right.
You know?
What's in it for them?
Totally.
Yeah.
So people are going to people in that. So if I'm the leader, I need to meet the person. And, so that requires, I think, a lot more effort and a lot more work, like just dirty work than I think some people who are initially stepping into leadership realize.
Yeah.
Or as I've run across in the last year, people who have been in leadership for a long time who just never decided to lean into it.
Never decided to.
Yeah. Because, I think that's where you see, I work with an organization who has done some research, and they discovered through another, thing that they found that I think that they asked Gen Z if there's a leadership gap right now with current leaders who are above them. 83% of them said yes.
Yeah.
So what's really interesting in that is you talked a lot about how there's some sort of something that's in it for me, right? Mm-hmm. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm compensated in some shape, form, or fashion by what you do. And when you look at the generational differences, what the compensation is looking really different, it seems.
Yeah.
What's interesting is the younger generation values freedom a whole lot more than the generations prior.
Right.
And so I know so many people who have taken jobs with less money, with less restrictions, more freedom, than jobs with more money and more restrictions because the value exchange is different for them.
Yes.
They're super happy to take on all the freedom, whether that's anything from office hours to amount of hours work, because
Unlimited
they
vacation.
value the freedom.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they value freedom more. And so that value compensation looks different for them.
Which then means that if you're the leader in that organization and you don't recognize that, you can't just throw more money at somebody to say,
because then it comes across as almost a double slap in the face.
Right.
Yeah, it's insincere.
Totally. Yeah. It's like, okay, so you don't care much about me because you've never given me any indication that that's the case, but you just want to throw more money at me.
That you're meeting me where I'm at or where my values are.
Right. Yeah.
People are going to people, and you better understand them.
That's right.
I'm going to remember that.
People
That's
are
really
gonna
good.
people.
People are going to people. So our audience, a lot of our audience, they are creators, and they're content creators, they're videographers, photographers, they're
Hello, creators.
marketing directors. They are they're people who are in the struggle is real for them, and I feel like a lot of what we talked about, they probably sense. They're like, I wish my boss was this way, or I want to be that kind of boss for my people. Like, I want to tie this to their scenario.
Yeah.
Like, I want to solder the wire a little bit. Because you're creating content year round with all the hats that you wear, whether it's you as the personality in front of the screen, in front of your phone, or it's you leading a team of creators at 9 weeks of high school camps on the beach. I mean, I hate the beach. Like, unless it's like March, I hate the beach. Like, and it's hot, it's sweaty, it's sandy, and imagine 13,000 high schoolers and their moms and dads back at home watching on Instagram,
nuts.
social media.
Yeah.
I have to take a breath after all that. Like, how does all of this relate to a healthy team culture that allows you to put out the very best content you could possibly put out in the world?
Yeah.
Loaded question.
Yeah.
But does it spill down throughout the year, or is it like, hey, we got to put like steroids on this when we get to the beach? How do you make sure your team is set up in the most healthy manner to create the best content possible?
Yeah.
He can hire people like us.
That was the loaded part of the question.
I was hoping he would say it. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I think I've not said this out loud.
Okay. Breaking, everyone. Breaking.
Well, no, and again, I don't know that it's going to be anything earth shattering. I'm just trying to craft what I think a lot of people know into my own words. But I think the best creativity, the best content, is always going to come from a team where there's trust. And I think that it's a constant. It requires a constant build.
It's not what I expected to hear you say. It's good.
Yeah. A lot of it, part of that may be just because I'm trying to think of it. I'm trying to think about like how, like the answer to your question as I'm saying it.
Yeah, it's okay. That's the best.
Yeah, I think that, at least in my experience, case in point, when I stepped into my role at BigStuf, there was a pretty significant crisis that everybody was walking through. I've been a contractor, kind of outside looking in for years. I mean, since 2010.
Isn't that always the prettier view?
It is. Oh, by far. By far. And, in my perception of everything that was happening on the surface and what was created for me was, oh my goodness, this is a big family and things are great and it's amazing and
Gorgeous
blah, 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 gorgeous view. And then you get on the inside, the other side of it, and you realize, oh, there's this thing or these things that have happened that, were particular to some individuals who are no longer apart. But that you step into a crisis situation and you realize people can survive. They can work in survival mode to a certain point. The minute that either trust goes out the window or that a crisis moment happens that brings whatever's underlying to the surface, creativity shuts down.
So trust is the currency.
Trust has to be there. Because when you think about when especially in creator world, I mean, we all know this as creators, as anybody who's going to, for every good idea that I may have, there are, I was going to say 10. There are 50 bad ideas, that I've put out there that you have to be willing to throw out there and say, hey, this is a piece of me, essentially. I'm tossing this out there so that everybody else can see it.
That's good.
And I'm giving each one of you the potential to shoot it down. That doesn't happen if I don't trust you.
That's right.
That doesn't happen if we haven't been able to have lunch together and to know what's going on in your family and to have all the back end that's happening. You can bring people into a room that don't know each other and be creative 100%. Absolutely. Are they the most creative though? No.
That's good. That's
you gotta have trust that is built.
I don't know where you pulled that answer out from, but that was a good answer.
He landed it though. He got there.
Yeah.
Clark and I have a mechanism where we say stream of consciousness. And if you say stream of consciousness, it means you can't hold me accountable for anything I say after this.
Okay.
This is just a bunch of ideas that are coming out of here. Stream of consciousness.
Can I just say it right here, and then John, can you go back and put it back at the beginning?
Correct. Yeah. So stream of,
for anything that's happened throughout this entire conversation.
Stream of consciousness. Go.
No.
Oh, you're making a point. I thought he was about to say something like stream of consciousness.
That was it. No, stream of consciousness. It's the idea of creating a trust and a safe environment. Saying like, hey, something's going to happen here. Could be good. Could be bad.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I'm about to say something. I have no idea how it will land.
Yeah.
This is really funny because we're just having a podcast conversation, right? Yeah. So I watched this. This is an amazing post on Instagram yesterday. She took this girl took a 7-word sentence and re-emphasized each word, and the sentence had 7 different meanings.
Yeah.
Because that's why I hate text, and that's why we all hate
100%.
Because trust can go away just because someone didn't hear us emphasize word number 4 in the sentence.
Yeah.
And it makes text and email conversation so much harder. So I have a question for you. Do you prefer in-person conversations? I know you're going to say versus like, do you love having hard conversations via text?
Here's the follow-up to that. In pandemic mode, in the last hard year, you can't have in-person conversations. So how do you manage that?
Yeah. So to answer the last question you asked a second ago was, do you love having hard conversations over text? I don't love having hard conversations.
Good answer.
But
the hard thing about the hard things.
Hard thing about the hard thing. Great book. The hard thing about the hard things.
I'm going to read that one.
Yeah,
it's really good.
It's good.
Keep going.
To your further question, in person. For sure. And so under the current circumstances,
but it's so much easier to text someone what you feel.
Sure. It's easier. Yeah. I'm not gonna say that. I was gonna say something. I'm not gonna say that.
Stream of consciousness. Come on, Trey.
Stream of consciousness.
Stream of consciousness. It's easier if you're a coward.
You're not wrong.
I say that in guilt. I've done the same thing. So that's the only reason I can say that. It is easier to send a text. It's very much easier to send a text
message. It's easier to put all the
message.
words into a text rather than having to pick up the phone and talk about something every time there's tension.
Yes.
But it's often the wrong answer.
What you lose is inflection. You lose intention behind your words. Yeah. You lose facial expressions where people are peopling.
Yep.
Part of peopling is also how they respond in the moment to everything that's happening around them.
Even your words, how they reply to individual words that you say.
So text removes all of that.
Yeah.
Does text am I proponent of text? Yes, 100%. I love text messaging.
Oh.
I send hundreds, if not thousands of texts each day. They help me get things done, right?
He sends thousands.
Probably not thousands.
I got nervous.
Dang.
Probably not thousands.
What's his screen usage time?
Yeah. Apple shut his phone down.
But yeah, it helps us become more efficient in our work, 100%. I think that's great. When it comes down to conversations that need to happen, even in a pandemic, I will always default to in person if we can. Zoom is great because I can see your face.
Yeah.
If we can't be in the same room.
Did you say Zoom is great?
Yeah.
He said Zoom is a acceptable substitute.
Thank you.
Based off
Zoom
of the
is
necessary
necessary.
requirements, blah, blah, blah.
I have not heard someone say Zoom is great, Trey.
Yes, touche.
Oh my
For
gosh.
instance, last summer, as I'm sure a lot of people had to have a lot of hard conversations,
Yeah.
we had to make a very tough decision at BigStuf that made a lot of our audience unhappy. Understandably. We were forced to make the decision for the viability of the organization so that we can continue to push forward our mission
Right.
of inspiring students to live life with Jesus.
Right.
If we had made the opposite decision, we would probably not exist anymore.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the decision that we did make in order to maintain our viability upset a lot of people.
Yeah.
In the process of that, we got a lot of emails, a lot of text messages from people who were extremely upset with us. I got on the phone with those people.
Good.
And,
I knew this was going somewhere.
And this is not to say anything about how I created a win in any situation. This is just how I'm naturally driven.
Yeah.
And I say this to encourage anybody that may hesitate to get on the phone with people who are upset with them or to get in front of people, because the ability for people to fire off anger and all the things that come with it over text is much easier than when you're in person.
Yeah.
The shift that I would see from people when I got on the phone with them to talk to them and to hear their voice and for them to hear my voice, completely different.
Okay. I need you to step into put on the cultural commentary hat real quick.
Yeah.
Because you're a little bit you're about as old as me, I think. Probably in the same ballpark.
I might be older than you.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm 1982 baby, so
I'm 80.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Man, I always thought Trey was like younger. But anyways, cultural commentary hat. Do you think that's part of why we're in shambles today is because this has completely eroded our ability to communicate with each other?
It is not the only
politics
reason.
alone, right?
Yeah.
Like politics aside, there's very important issues that we need to fight for and champion, but this has ruined our ability. It's given you the opportunity to inspire me at 5:30 in the morning. However, it's also ruined our ability to have hard conversations.
Yeah, I think I'll push back on the wording a little bit.
Go.
I think that people's use of it has hindered our what's the word? Not our ability, because we're still able.
We're able. You're right.
We're still able. I think it's hindered our willingness because it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, right. It's easier.
And
so much easier.
That's what you're saying. Yeah. It makes it so much easier. I've said this before. I think that social media, I think that smartphones, text message, all that are great tools.
Yeah.
I am not one to sit in the camp of people who say, like, I work with students a lot and student pastors, and some of them are like, you shouldn't, phones are terrible and social media is terrible and you shouldn't be there and you shouldn't use it and it's ruining our lives. And I think that it has potential to ruin our lives, just like fire.
That's good.
Fire has the ability to
ruin
warm
our
us,
lives.
has the ability to cook food for us, has the ability to do so many great things in our lives. It also has the ability to ruin our lives. It's a matter of how you use the tool.
Let's create a social platform called Fire.
Fire. That didn't work out very well last time with the Fire Festival, my man.
That's true. That's true. Sorry.
Yeah. So
Wrong path.
I
It's
agree.
good. Amazing point.
I think that our phones and what we do on them has completely
hindered our willingness
to dig into what's core about us, which is we need human connection in every part of how we interact in person.
And isn't it beautiful how sometimes on social media we find those nuggets, those treasure chests of human connection?
Yeah.
When that person DMs you, they're like, "I've lost 20 pounds because of you."
Yeah.
And like, it's weird. I wish we could find the formula
Yeah.
to more of that.
Well, the formula is just freaking be kind.
That's good.
You're developing content that leads from one-way communication to two-way communication.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So much of the internet is one-way communication.
Yeah.
It's me talking to you, me preaching at you.
Yeah.
And there's so many stereotypes that come from that are like stereotypes for a reason, because
Yeah.
like you're fitting into the narrative.
Yeah.
But when it goes to two-way communication, because you're kind, you're open, you're inviting, you act like the type of individual that you would say, yeah, like I could have a conversation with them. And it would be a good conversation.
Yeah.
You're creating content that leads to two-way engagement, not just one-way
Not
engagement.
one
It's
way.
you're not preaching at me. You're inviting me into a narrative, inviting me into a conversation, inviting me into a story.
Yeah, I think that responsibility lies on both the sender and the receiver.
Yeah.
You know, I think that as the sender, as the leader, as the whatever you want to put, the initiator, you have to be willing to take the step to connect with somebody.
Yeah.
But then you also have to create a safe place for somebody to then take the step
Correct.
towards you.
Because social media is social.
Right.
Like it's not
Yeah.
a megaphone and it's not my diary.
Right.
People use it that way all the time.
Yeah.
But the most effective use of social media is when it's social.
Yeah.
Man,
You would say that it could be a lion of sorts. Social media. Maybe is a social lion.
And we cut
you
the
could- you could
podcast
even
off
say the
right
podcast
before that.
ended.
You can even say that things that you place on social media and things that you put out there
He's gonna
could
say it.
Reverberate.
into.
I thought he was going to say it was
Others'
going to
lives.
roar across the internet. So I'm glad we at least got to reverberate. Here's my takeaway from
make
this
your
whole
message
conversation.
roar is what we
Make it
used to
roar.
say.
My takeaway from this whole
What's your
conversation
takeaway?
is I'm known in our organization for being terrible at responding to email and not responding on Slack. And now I am further
I'm also
grounded,
pretty bad at that.
and I'm going to keep calling instead of responding to emails or
Yes.
pick up on Slack. So thank you. Just because personally, I now
thank
have
you
a
for
lot of
validating.
things. Yeah, 100%.
All the times we've been like, Will, did you see
Did you send that on Slack? I'm like, no, I called someone.
Did you see what we wrote about the event?
I'm like, nah,
no, just tell
I
me.
just called you.
no.
Let's
it's-
talk in person.
Just tell me.
Just tell me now.
Tell me what the plan is.
Tell me now.
Trey, we are, if you can't tell from either listening or watching, we are humongous admirers of you. And we don't just say that to people. We truly, every time we see you, you light up our world, you inspire us, you motivate us to take action. We're grateful.
Well, likewise. And I don't. This is not. I hope this doesn't feel or seem cheap, just in response to what you're saying. But
No.
I truly. I mean, one of the reasons that I wanted to drive up
Drove
here,
to Chattanooga.
I wanted to drive here from Atlanta to do this and not do it over Zoom and not just wait till you guys came back to
wanted to
Atlanta.
do it in
was
person.
because I wanted to be here around people who bring me life. And all of you are that for me. I see what you're doing. I mean, even just as as you guys are pushing forward your mission and what you do. I mean, events should look great online. You're doing that.
It's cheesy, but he just repeated it.
He did.
And as someone who is highly in event world, and we've seen everything we've all walked through the last year, I appreciate everything that you guys are doing. Not even just from what you do with with SEC or with Orange or with whoever that you're working with, but like the things that you're doing on the back end with the videos that John and Tess are doing, and like giving value to people that has brought value to me.
Sure.
That you look at and you see, and it's just like I'm a better person for having spent 11 minutes watching this video just now.
That's awesome.
Like I truly feel that.
Awesome.
I truly believe that. So anyway, I just want to surround myself with people like that. And as much, if not more than what you guys would say about me, I feel about each one of you. So I appreciate you even just giving me some time to get to do this and it being digitized in zeros and ones forever.
Listen, it's true. I'm just glad we didn't have this conversation over wine because I might be crying right now.
We'll do that later.
Okay. Trey, thank you. We love you and appreciate you.
Love you guys. Thank
and
y'all.
if you don't follow Trey, hit him up on Instagram. What's your
Send him a DM.
What's your handle?
Send me a DM. Yeah.
I am Trey McKnight.
I am Trey McKnight.
Yes, he
I am
is Trey McKnight.
Love to connect with you.
Follow him. He just be ready. Hang on. And you're going to have a better life and you're going to be inspired to take action. Thank you so much for listening to the Reverb Roundtable. For those of you who watch, you did exactly what I said you should do. You'll know exactly who it is when you pop onto Instagram and find Trey. We appreciate you. Thanks, Trey. Thanks, Will. Tessa, John producing, shooting in the background. Check out what's next in the show notes.
Thank you so much for joining us this week on Reverb Roundtable. This conversation was absolutely incredible. We always learn so much every single time that Trey is in the room, and we hope that you did too. Don't forget that we write up show notes for every single episode so that you never have to worry about missing anything we talk about. To grab those, just go to rvrb.cc/podcast and subscribe to our email list. If you're vibing with the show, we would really, really love it if you would leave us a review so that we can help more people become better leaders and creators. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next week.